The imposing godstone of Bjorulf approaches. His severe visage makes it feel like he's watching you even now. The caravan spreads out, happy to be free of the confining forest and in open fields. Hogan pulls you aside to show you some red berries growing on an ash tree that looks like it was chopped down long ago. These shouldn't be growing here, he says excitedly. I haven't seen these in a long time. He and Mogan busily go about collecting the berries. In fact, in honor of Bjorulf, some of the caravans crack kegs of mead and wine before anyone can stop them. To the only god that matters, they shout. Everyone drinks and you're glad for the merriment that has swept over the caravan. Well, I'm going to join him in collecting berries, because why not? What exactly are these, you ask Hogan? When I would travel to Bosgard with my father, sometimes he'd buy us a few of these, Hogan replies. Couldn't be a luckier find. See for yourself. You try one and can feel energy returning to your tired limbs. Not taking a few more would be a wasted opportunity, you figure. As the hour becomes late, the caravan is eventually ready to get back on the road. The day by Bjorulf's stone is one of the few memories that hasn't been tarnished by the specter of bad fortune, you think to yourself. A gaunt man and woman approach the caravan, hands held high. A word, friends, the man says. We are poor farmers down on our luck. The woman hits him and says, We're outlaws, plain and simple. 10 of us and we'll help you we'll help you in a fight for some food up front. You know what? Sure, join us, but you'll be watched. Why not just keep messing up my own, setup here? The two quickly shuffle to a supply wagon as 8 more bandits emerge from the wilderness. They gorge themselves on salted fish and cheese, taking time to thank everyone. After eating, they politely keep to themselves. Don't make me regret that. Two supplies.
A smattering of farmhouses than a proper town. Though judging by stray dredge stalking through empty fields, it is barely even that anymore.
One day, Renovik comes and goes as a long series of farmhouses, abandoned and crawling with dredge. The farmers have probably already fled to Bosgard. You try to hurry past, but are eventually spotted. Dredge start ambling in your direction. What is that? Points out Odliv, up near one of the long houses. In the distance, a large person, clothes seemingly covered in blood, is cursing loudly and stumbling about. He staggers into a long house, laughing. The dredge heading your direction turn back, roaring, and begin to pound on the longhouse door. They seem to be holding a grudge against this particular person. You doubt the door will hold long. Honestly, let's just go in and see what's going on. Maybe there's supplies here. Against my better judgment, we should probably do something, you say. The others agree, even though it means putting them all at risk. As you quietly approach, the dredge have managed to splinter the door and break through. Hey, shouts Avaro, wearing all red, standing up on the other side of the dredge. Come all the way up here just for me? He seems unconcerned about the dredge as he hoists his enormous sword. Welcome to my mead house, Sigborn's House of Mead. Wasn't expecting Avaro this far south, or this drunk. I can see that. There are people huddled in the corners of the mead hall, looking on with uneasiness. Who are you people? No, they're friends. They made this place. It's not really mine. You lured Dredge back to a room full of unarmed people? What is wrong with you? Come on, I saved everyone in here. They shared some fine drink, the best drink. Wait, I was saving your ass. Remember that part? If you knew you'd come up here, you could have told me. What do we do with this guy? Anyone here is welcome to join us. The townspeople show you a huge stack of barrels filled with quality mead and help you haul them back to the caravan. I'll miss this place. Good memories. With some help, you gather up the cask of mead and head back to the caravan. Sigborn and the other survivors in tow. The caravan gives the boisterous Varl a large berth as you set out for Bosgard. I wish I had more supplies. I wonder if we just start eating our own people or something like that if we run out. Because I doubt that it's just game over. It's probably just people start leaving. So then we can have more supplies for people. What did I do? Sigborn wakes in a pool of his own sick. Why am I surrounded by small people? The other clansmen let him sleep off his drunken stupor on the ground, and this morning he's paying the price. Help him recover. Reluctantly, your clansmen offer any food and drink they can scrounge together for the moaning Varro. When one offers thin meat, he pushes it away. In fact, take this away from me, he says, handing you his massive meat stein. Eventually, Sigborn comes to you. I won't get into details, he said. I was supposed to bring those casks from Rheinvik back to Bosgard. I drank maybe half by accident. Point is, Sigborn continues, you don't tell anybody what happened, and I won't tell anyone about the meat you got, okay? Trust me on this one. You agree and get back to travel. Blood. Alright, an old man sits astride an overgrown portion of the trail. You lost, he asks. He adjusts the leather strap on his head and says, no, are you? He jumps up and shuffles toward the caravan, his tattered clothes revealing no weapons. Well, I've seen better, the old man says, peering into supply wagons, but I'll join you. He stands next to a fighter, throws his beard over his shoulder and puffs up his chest. The fighter grins and the stranger exhales, asking, what are we waiting for? Lead the way. Who are you and what are you doing out here? Call me Unar, or anything else you like, the old man says. A man goes where he pleases, doesn't he? His stern look is more comical than intimidating, but you stop looking for answers. You're welcome to join if you can keep up the pace. Keep pace? The old man puffs through his mustache. No fleeter than old Unar. And husbands, mind your wives. I'm cursed with the golden tongue, not silver. The caravan enjoys a good laugh as they start moving once again. Awesome. No encouragement or tales of glory will lift the spirits of the caravan. In the north, we have times like this, says one of the Varro. The other giants grin, raising tankards and hordes of mead. Skål, they shout, and make short work of their drinks, explaining that each person takes a drink when someone tells a story that is more miserable than the last. Others join them for the second round, and mead is passed their way. Let's join them in drinking and waste my supplies. Taking the mead, you shout, Skål! The group cheers and laughter echoes throughout the camp for hours as each person comes up with increasingly more absurd stories of woe. The Varl's remedy is a success, and the caravan is in much better mood the following day. Albeit words are hard. Hungover and with less mead than before. And yes, you and Saki talking about school,
As we
indeed.
pass steep cliffs, the
Say
sprawl
Skål in
of
Viking voice,
Boersgard
please.
comes into view. A city of contrasting rich
Skål.
and poor, opportunity and
It's so bad.
gamble. Our best hope for salvation, or our graves.
I wonder how I would even do that. What would my Viking voice be? Just Skål. Hey, I made it to a town with 0 supplies. Skål. There you go. Finally, you arrive at Bosgard, where the walls stretch for miles in both directions and are littered with bodies of dredge, Varro, and men. Excuse the mess, shouts a voice from above the gates. Looking up, you spy a striking Varro, his face wreathed with matted black hair. Movement at the gate catches your eye. Dredge are still banging on the gate doors without luck. Let us in, you shout. Sigborn pushes past. I won't be hearing the end of this for a while, he says, before yelling, Open up, Bolverk. They dug me out of Rheinvik. You hear a laugh echoing on the wind as the doors creak. A dozen armed men led by a massive Varl make quick work of the dredge and usher you into the city. You may be interested to know they brought a mender. Ooh. You didn't go get a mender. Where's the mead? Sigvard shrugs apologetically. I guess the mender will do. Either we've got a chance now, or we're completely screwed. I'm Rook. We've come a long ways. Some as far as Skarr. Are you in charge here? In charge of the governor, I suppose. Listen, if you have something to tell him, say it now. Otherwise, you're on your own. I don't care where you go, but stirring up trouble is probably the only reason you'll see me again. It won't be to talk. Mender, come along. We're going to go see the governor. Bolverk and Sigborn leave with Eyvind, who goes willingly, signaling that he's fine. Fane, this is just like Frostville all over again. This is nothing like Frostville. The one in Bearskin is probably leading the Ravens. Ravens? Is that good or bad? Depends on who they're working for. Hopefully it really is the governor and not someone trying to strong-arm their way into his seat. I guess we wait for Ivan to tell us, if he comes back. I'm not worried about Ivan. I'm worried about the army of refugees we brought, who don't belong here. You're probably right. Nobody ever uttered a nice thing about Bosgard. So what now? We ought to go to the docks and see what our options are, in case we need to leave quickly. Did you notice the city guards when we came in? What guards? I have a feeling the Ravens are all they've got left. Something serious went down. And when Bellower gets here, he's going to walk right through this place without even breaking his stride. Let's keep that to ourselves for now. So, the docks. Where can I buy supplies? Just focus on supplies, ignore everything else. Ignore waifus, only buy supplies. God, I can only get 3 days. This is so bad. Well, here we go. When you get to the docks, you hear your heart sinks. Not a longship to be seen aside from wrecks. Bodies float in the water. Buildings are trashed and boarded up. What happened here? Murmurs Alette. They're all gone, says Ivan, approaching alone. I see you had the same thought as me. Ivan, you're okay. I'm fine, it wasn't a lie. The governor is here. He's in hiding. Why? Since the dredge started appearing, anyone with a ship and half a wit left long ago. People can't leave by foot. Food is scarce, the markets are bare. Bosgard is a fire keg waiting for someone to tip it over. So the governor's paying the Ravens to protect him and against his own people. And keep the peace, so to speak. It's more like a massacre anytime there's a hint of an uprising. Where does that leave us? I promised him the Mender's protection in Aberang. I don't think he's very popular there. They're going to start tearing this place down to build new ships. We can ride the Orsma River along all the way to the capital, leaving another perfectly good city behind. How long will it take to build new ships? Hold on. What happens to the people living in Bosgard? It's the best I could do, Alette. He thought it could take as long as a month. You don't usually make ships out of scrap lumber. As soon as people figure out what's going on, there's going to be riots in the street. A month? Why bother? Bellower will be here within the week, if not sooner. I'm open to suggestions. Gods be damned. Is there no end to this? Ivar roars in frustration, leaving you standing by the docks. That gives you a worried look before chasing after him. Ivan, what do we do about Bellower? Ivan says nothing for a moment. I don't know. You find Ivar standing on city walls, overlooking the fields outside. Dredge are keeping their distance, but continue to gather. I'm okay, Rook. Ivar cuts you off before you can say anything. You know he's been through worse. Just feels like someone should cut us a break every now and then. If we want to be standing a month from now, we're going to have to be prepared. What do you have in mind? First off, our clansmen need a place to stay. They'll get torn to pieces out in the streets. I'll keep an eye on the dredge up here. If they break through the walls, we're done for. So we'll have to keep them back. Could always use a hand with that. We need to know who's controlling what, and make sure we get our cut. Food's going to become scarce. Already is. And when they start building those ships, we're going to have to keep people away. What a damn mess. I'll do what I can. Ivar explains. I'm leading attacks with Ivan every time the dredge get too close to the gates. Listen, we're going to lose fighters in Varl every day like this. I don't need to tell you what happens if nobody is manning this wall. We could always use help. You consider what to do now, knowing that any of these tasks will likely take a full day. I feel like we probably need to find a place to stay first. So we'll do that. The entire caravan is spread out in the streets where they're attracting attention. We could look for a public house, suggests Alette, like Frostfire. You figure that if you made camp in the open, you could at least keep everyone together. Or with people leaving the city recently, there might be abandoned houses you can squat in. Let's try to find houses. With all the people that fled from Bosgard when the dredge arrived, you figure that there must be abandoned houses around. Sure enough, a few turn up, which will keep people out of the weather. They express concerns over safety. A house full of women and children is sure to draw some attention. At least want to leave some fighters to guard the houses, I guess. Take volunteers to watch over the houses, mostly the older, wounded fighters who wouldn't be much help against the dredge anyway. Hopefully, they won't be missed on the walls, but you feel better knowing that your clansmen will be that much safer. Well, see what happens. We're already running out of supplies and it just keeps going through days. Ivar points out the dredge along the wall. There's a lot more of them, and they're getting braver, he says. We've lost a fair number of fighters since yesterday. We could use your help if there's nobody left to defend the walls. One of your clansmen from the caravan finds you. Just wanted to tell you that everything seems to be fine, he says. Regarding the people in the caravan, there was a little scuffle with some looters, but the fighters you left sorted everything out. Well, that's good. You consider what you want to do now, knowing that any of these tasks will likely take a full day. Honestly, we need supplies. I checked around, Oddlib tells you, and nobody has food, or they won't part with it for a fair price, and our medicine has been gone for days. They're either gouging the prices, or it's just plain gone. She doesn't say it, but you can tell that this is going to be a serious problem. Let's check with the Ravens. You find the massive leader of the Ravens along the docks, where they're doing their best to keep a growing number of people in check while the boats are being constructed. You question him about food supplies. Should have brought your own, he says. I can't go giving it out to every person in Bosgard. I'd kill every last bastard in the city for some good meat, though. This place has been dry for weeks. Let's offer him the meat that we got. Let me get this straight, says Bolverk. You happen to come through Rivik with Sickboard in tow and plenty of meat to go around, is that right? You hesitate a little too long. I'll murder that motherless yox, growls Bolverk. As he turns to leave, he grumbles, bring the barrels and we'll make a trade. The caravan protests when you tell them the deal you made, but when you return with more supplies than you expected, the complaints vanish. 12 supplies! Yay! 15! Yay! I don't have to die! This is bad, says Ivan, as Ivar points across the battlefield. Aside from the fact that we're up to our necks in dredge, a stone singer showed up. We've been losing warriors left and right. If we don't deal with it, this wall will come down by the end of the day. Dad, there's a riot at the docks. Alette runs up to you, out of breath. They're trying to smash up the boats. When you calm her down, she says the Ravens are there, but she's worried that things could get out of hand. You consider what you want to do now, knowing that, so I'm going to go ahead and join on the walls, because I've skipped them for 3 days. That stone singer is going to wreak havoc on us if we don't take care of it, Ivar tells you. This will be a rough fight, but we've got to take it down. You ready? You prepare yourself. This morning, says Ivar, I saw him. Bellower's here. I think it won't be long now. Ivan leans silently on his staff nearby. You consider what you want to do now, knowing that any of these tasks will likely take a full day. We can leave him in charge of the warriors. Check with the fact that Bellower's there. I'm going to put Crummer in charge of the warriors, and hopefully he can help. Crummer, you shout, calling around the war leader. This is your expertise. Are you willing? Crummer is more than happy to switch off leading the charge, giving Ivar a break between fights. He spends the rest of the day showing you complex war strategies to reduce losses. Cool. Ivar, you begin. Can we really keep this up? Ivar looks like he hasn't slept for days. We We've lost a lot of fighters, he mumbles. The weight of the situation is crushing. Then, from far in the distance, you hear a horn. Dredge don't use horns, it occurs to you. Ivan appears at your side just as a long caravan of people come into view, Dredge turning to attack them. Who is that, you ask? It can't be, says Ivan. He runs towards the gate, shouting, You see their banner? It's a Khan. As you wonder how they got here, the gates are heaved open and you hear a charge onto the field, clearing a path through Dredge. Juno. I wasn't sure I'd ever seen you again, Ivan. She smiles and they embrace. Ivan is completely taken aback, as though he doesn't dare believe she's real. I'm sorry, I couldn't make it to Sigerholm. I ran into problems. Problems is putting it lightly. There's a mile-wide canyon practically splitting the world in two over those hills. Couldn't find a place to cross. Worse, Dredge are practically falling out of it like blood from a wound. They're not coming from the north anymore. They're everywhere. We noticed. Glad to see you made it out alive, Yngvar. I take it the others didn't? Hakan becomes quiet, then he motions towards Juno. She got across somehow. Found her out cold for a second time since leaving the Strand. We need every axe we can get right now. Bellower is here. Gods be damned. I thought I was free of that menace. I will deal with Bellower. Come on, no need to tempt him by standing out here. Well, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully they add some extra damage to the, the party. Hakan's caravan enters the city, fighting off waves of dredge as they go. To your relief, hundreds of skilled warriors are now safely in Bosgard. Hakan joins you on the wall with his personal bodyguard, Moger. Behind him, the prince, Ludin, stands alone, looking miserable. I have one last trip to make. I need this one to come with me, she says, pointing to you. I'm sorry, Ivan. You must wait for me one last time. Do not let the city fall before I return. It takes everything within Ivan's power to hold back, but he does. She turns to you. Rook, come with me. We'll return in 2 days, maybe less if you're as quick as you look. Tell anyone who needs to know. Where and why? Not far, says Juno. She pauses and something shifts in your vision. For just a moment. I know it's hard, she says, her voice filling your head. And you've already been through a lot. As she speaks again, the rest of the world melts away. But you're needed. You can't find the words to argue. This is awkward. Who the hell are all these people? You don't remember leaving the city, but here you are, walking through unfamiliar ground behind Juno. You're alone, aside from hundreds of dredge who are all facing towards an enormous stone head. The hairs on the back of your neck stand up. This is sketch. Especially because they got those. And standing next to a godstone for whatever worth. We're at the Godstone of Stravis. You glance nervously around, but the dredge didn't seem to hear her. It's okay. You can speak. Softly. Is this where you're going to sacrifice me? Juno smiles. What could have come across as what could have come across as profoundly creepy looks sincere instead. No, the dredge cannot see us. To be more precise, they can see us, but I've convinced them to be unconcerned. I can understand your apprehension, though. And who are you? I wish we'd have time for a proper introduction. My name is Juno. I'm on the Mender Council. You've met Ivan, my apprentice. How are you doing these things? Controlling minds? I thought Menders built things and healed wounds. You are right. Menders do these things. Some of us still practice the teachings given to the Loom Mother's first creations. We are called Valka. I believe I am the only one who can influence another's mind. Then why did you not take control of Bellower? I learned the talent to heal minds, not control them. Though even some Valka have trouble believing this. Taking control of Bellower is a difference between convincing a child to sit still and telling a starving bear to stop being hungry. The truth is, We're rarely a match for the Sunder anymore. Our advantage is that we can train more Valka. It is also our weakness. The Valka pass on and lose their knowledge, while the Sunders simply grow older and more powerful. Bellower is both immortal and beyond my influence, to a point. Then how do we stop him? The God of Secrets will play a part, as will you. And what are we doing out here? Do you know of the god Stravus? Few know this stone exists, even amongst those who have lived their whole lives in Beauregard. While Dengler deals in fortune, Stravus taught men the value of trade in a different way. He showed them it has consequence, two sides of the same coin. See the silver in the stone? The gales up here wear away the stone, but the metal remains. We need a piece of this silver. The god Stravus is wreathed by wreathed by imagery of silver weapons. The myths say he traded these weapons to the gods, and they use them to kill each other. Those who seek out the stone call him the god of trade. The menders call him the god of secrets. He was both. And why are we surrounded by dredge? They seem to be drawn to the godstone. There are many things we don't know about Stravus. Maybe they see him as a patron, or is it an attraction they cannot explain? Does Stravus have something to do with the serpent in Einertoft? What was that thing? I cannot say. Can't? I have my suspicions, but until I've had time at the Mender libraries, it would be unwise to speculate. For all our knowledge, it always seems as though we know little. Imagine how the rest of us feel. On the contrary, the less people know, the more the more certain they tend to be. Why'd you pick me? Why didn't you take Ivan or Hakan? You don't even know me. I apologize for putting you in danger. Ivan must keep Bosgard from falling while we are away. And if something goes wrong here, I need to be certain one of us makes it back alive. I saw the thoughts of each person when I arrived at Bosgard. You were the only one I knew would return. What do you mean? You would find your way back to Alette no matter what. And let's get what we need and go. Indeed, you'll need to dislodge at least a fistful of the metal. We will forge it into an arrow to slay Bellower. Wait, after everything you've told me? Make a magic arrow to shoot Bellower? That's all it takes? Why didn't you do that a long time ago? No, that is not all it takes. What I tell you now must not be repeated. The arrow will not kill Bellower, even were it to strike his heart. He has no physical weaknesses. But it will sow doubt in his mind. When it pierces him, it will help him to believe that he is dying. The rest of you will convince him of it with sword and axe. Everyone who fights at your side must believe it to be true. You're going to trick him into thinking he's dead? That is the most insane. He really can't be killed? No. Someday he will reawaken and realize he's not dead. I imagine he'll be quite upset. First, we must make the arrow. Focus on the task at hand. She looks knowingly at the Godstone, waiting for you to start climbing. Rook, I am not certain how the dredge will react when you do this, and behind us is a sudden drop, so be careful. Great. Just toss me off the side and see how it is. Where are we going? One second. Approaching the back of the stone, you start to climb, looking for a loose piece of the silver vein. Even without looking out onto the dredge, you can feel each sinister face watching you closely, held back only by Juno's influence. Panic races through your blood. Let's say climb higher to where it may be easier to remove. As you climb, you can't help but notice the stony mass of dredge lined up before the Godstone, like worshippers before an idol. Just a glimpse nearly immobilizes you. Your hand rests on a piece of silver that comes away easily. The dredge do not react. Do we look for more? I feel like it's probably a bad idea, the whole like getting greedy kind of thing, and that's probably all we need, especially if it's not going to even work, but let's look for another piece. While you're here, you glance quickly around to see if there's any more low-hanging fruit. You're able to pry away another, smaller piece of silver ore before your nerves give out. You nimbly descend to where Juno is waiting. Well done, she says. As you walk back through the dredge, their heads turn in unison to follow. The dread that lingers and the shaking in your hands does not subside for hours. Alright, you approach the gates of Beauregard again, relieved that they're still standing. It looks like they took a beating while you were gone. Alette rushes to your side and throws her arms around you once you've crept through the gates. Juno smiles at the reunion and tells you, "Take this time with your daughter. Find a smith who can fashion an arrow from that silver. I have other things to which I must attend, but meet me on the walls when you are done." Crafters. It takes a while, but you finally find someone willing to craft an arrow for you. He eyes you suspiciously when you show him the silver, but shakes his head and gets started. Alette watches, the smith's fire reflecting in her distant stare. I talked with Ivan a long time while you were gone. He told me a lot about Juno. Is she really as powerful as she said? It sounds, or certainly seems that way. That might be the most luck we've had so far. Dad, I think I know what's going to happen now. An arrow? She's going to make you shoot Bellower, isn't she? I don't know for sure. Come on, who else is going to do it? Ivor? Alette, I know where this is going. You're afraid of me dying. This isn't like before. We can't run this time. That's not what I... Let me do it. Let's see. I'm gonna let her do it, but probably a bad idea. What? Why not? Because you think I'll get hurt? What do you do when Bellower comes straight for the person holding the only thing that can destroy him? Let me speak. Everything's changed. Scar feels so long ago. I'm not asking because I'm afraid of losing you. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Let me do it because you know I'm a better shot. I have a better chance of puncturing his armor. We only have one shot. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not just some girl. I'm your daughter. I can do this. For once, let me decide what happens to me. Admittedly, if this is actually something that can help boost her to start doing some things and not being freaked out, fuck yes. I know you can do it. Take the arrow. She smiles and takes your hand in hers. We'll survive this. I know we will. You sit by her side silently until the smith finishes his work. Let's talk to Juno. One second. Alright, there he is. Juno's in the middle of an animated debate as you approach, the arrow in your hand. There is little time left. Bellower knows we're here. Whether he is waiting for more of his forces to arrive or simply wants to starve us out first, I cannot tell. But he will not expect a direct attack. Is this a joke? How are we going to do that? I will take a handful of warriors to face him. I can keep a small group hidden from sight. The rest of you will lead the charge from here. With luck, Bellower will send his armies away from himself to meet you. What about the ravens? They may protest. They will not. I've arranged a task for them. Even if you make it to Bellower, what chance is there of defeating him? We saw what happened in Einertoft. That thing can't be killed. Juno shows them the arrow you had forged from the Godstone silver. This will make him bleed like the rest of us. Once he is pierced, he will be vulnerable. She looks you in the eyes. We only have one. Do not miss. And bring only those you absolutely need. It will take all my concentration to keep the other dredge from swallowing us up. I cannot join in the battle. And if we kill Bellower, then what? The dredge will just wander away? That is my belief, yes. I cannot say for certain. This is a doomed plan. Help us hold out here until the ships are finished. And then what? Bellower will hound our every step, all the way to Arborang, where I'm certain Morse underweight. Now is the time to speak to loved ones and the memory of any gods that pleases you. Rest. In the morning, we slay asunder. Alright, spicy. Alright. The silence is what you remember. You rise in silence and walk through empty streets. Upon the wall, two armies stand quietly watching each other. Your footsteps echo onto the wooden floorboards as you approach Juno. She breaks the silence. It's time, Juno says. Gather your allies. Today one thing will end, another will begin, and our actions will decide on what side we stand. God. At least it went to a cutscene. Oh, that's awkward. Oh, don't kill Alette. Not like that. I would be super sad. Okay, hopefully he's just injured as normal. Put you there, and we'll just rush and hope for the best. Oh, there we go. Come on. Probably gonna still make us fight through the rest, but we killed him. Come on. Everybody else is just hanging out. Is that it? Yatta! Alette, no, not her. But where are the menders? Rook, she is beyond their help. Stand up. You're only barely aware of the surrounding chaos, as Dredge flee from Varro warriors who push their advantage. Bellower is dead. You are not. We must go. Let me carry Alette to Bosgard. We'll honor her properly. That's another thing. I know I butcher the names like crazy. It's like Beauregard, something. Juno is right. With Bellower fallen, the Dredge flee for the field of battle. You return to Beauregard, but have almost no memory of doing so, aside from image of Alette's still body being carried in Ivor's arms. And yeah, it's definitely makes sense. There's a whole bunch of moral choices and things like that in here, and even like just that, the fact that I gave her the arrow, and I was thinking, oh, that's probably a good idea, because then it, she's the one that's doing stuff, and she's really wanting to help, and so on, and it's like, if I probably just took the arrow myself, she probably wouldn't be dead. So it's that kind of stuff where you just lose characters, and there's a few that have just dipped out throughout the story that I really liked that I can't use anymore. Maybe they'll come up later, maybe not, who knows. So we should have time we need to finish the ships. I think you're right. The Dredge don't seem interested in us anymore. Since Bellower fell, they've been going their own way. The Ravens have been keeping the docks clear. Juno's talking to them about something now. When those long ships are ready, we'll be able to sail all the way to Arborang. With luck, before the darkness shows up here. How far south has it spread? I couldn't say. Hopefully not far. We'll get the prince back to his home, and Hakan has already decided to come with us. There's not much else to go back to. The two look up at you as you approach. Rook, it's time. Soon, we'll be ready to leave Beauregard. Find somewhere safe. One ship is done already. At the docks, I had it prepared for Alette. I'm not ready to see this. Come, Rook. It's time to honor your daughter. We're gonna do the full-on... Yep. Damn. Some feels. Sorry, Alette. I should have taken it. I should have taken the arrow. kind of sad now. Shouldn't have ended like this. Yeah, definitely serious implications for sure. I love the small effects from choices, though. You know, those types of games where it's like that choice you make could affect something right then, or it could affect something, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours down the line, or in the next game. And that kind of stuff is huge. Makes you actually feel like your choices matter, which is good. Yes. He has one arm to replace the other arm, so to speak.